If you're a man over 60, you might have heard that getting up several times a night to go to the bathroom is normal. 3 or 4 trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night? Did they say it's just part of getting older? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not quite the case. It's not normal, and it's certainly not harmless. In fact, there may be something very specific going on inside your body, something that's going unnoticed, even though it's caused by a simple, almost automatic habit you repeat every day without thinking. A habit so common that no one suspects it. Not friends, not family, and, unfortunately, not many doctors. My name is Ana Laura. I've been a physician for over 30 years, specializing in men's health. Throughout my career, I've helped thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s regain their energy, vitality, and zest for life, even after facing issues like an enlarged prostate, declining testosterone, erectile dysfunction, and other challenges that come with aging. And that's why today I want to speak directly to you. Many people believe that the prostate grows simply because of age. It's just the way it is. It's part of the process, they say. But that's only part of the story. What few people know is that there's a hidden factor, a routine habit, that's fueling silent inflammation, causing symptoms like urgency, dribbling, and those incessant trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And the worst part, this cycle erodes not only your sleep, but also your peace of mind, your self-esteem, and even your freedom. But the good news is, there's a way to change this, and you don't need expensive medications or invasive surgeries. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what this silent habit is, why it's so harmful, and most importantly, how to reverse it naturally. I'll also share a simple 15-second ritual my patients do before bed, and it's helped many of them get through the night without interruptions. But first, if this topic resonates with you, take the opportunity to subscribe and activate the bell here. That way you won't miss any men's health tips I've carefully prepared, especially for men over 60. And if you'd like, tell me in the comments, what have you been feeling? Where are you watching from? This helps me understand where this information is reaching, and how I can help even more. Now let's get straight to the point. I want to start by revealing the first habit that many people think is helping, when in fact, it only makes things worse. Habit 10. Reduce the amount of water you drink at night to avoid going to the bathroom. Look, I've heard this story dozens of times in my office. Men, worried about nighttime bathroom breaks, decided to stop drinking water after 6 p.m., and they say it like they're doing something brilliant. But then, I look at them calmly and say, I understand your logic, but this could be seriously hindering your recovery. It makes sense, right? Less water, less pee, fewer trips to the bathroom. But the truth is, the body doesn't work that simply. When you drink little water, especially at night, your urine becomes very concentrated. It becomes darker, more acidic, and this irritates the bladder. And an irritated bladder becomes agitated and overactive. It starts sending false signals that it's full, even when it isn't. The result? You wake up at 1 a.m., then 3 a.m., then 5 a.m., rushing to the bathroom, often just to release a trickle of urine. This routine is exhausting. It robs you of rest, makes you more tired during the day, and little by little, robs you of your quality of life. And the most unfair thing is that all of this could be avoided with small changes in your daily routine, like better understanding what really causes this discomfort and treating the root cause. I've had patients in my office nearly in tears, saying with choked voices that they just wanted one simple thing, a full night's sleep without interruptions. And I understand. I truly do. Because when sleep disappears, everything starts to go wrong. Your mood, your energy, your zest for life. But I always say, the answer isn't cutting out water. Quite the opposite. Denying your body water can be one of the most harmful mistakes when it comes to prostate health. Few people talk about this, but dehydration is one of the most common silent triggers of prostate inflammation. Without adequate hydration, your body can't eliminate toxins properly. Tissues swell, inflammation sets in, and even the body's natural regeneration process slows down. It's as if your body is stuck in a constant state of alert, and you and your sleepless nights pay the price. So, what to do? Simple. Stay hydrated throughout the day, consistently. Don't wait until thirst strikes, because when it does, your body is already crying out for help. Drink small sips of water from morning until early evening. Your goal? Clear, almost transparent urine. This is your body's way of saying, we're fine. Now, if you're worried about drinking too much water close to bedtime, that's okay. Just taper off about an hour and a half before bed, but don't cut it out completely. Water isn't your enemy, it's your most faithful ally. It's one of the simplest, most natural, and most effective tools for calming your bladder, reducing prostate pressure, and allowing you to enjoy restful nights again. And since we're talking about habits that go unnoticed, you might be wondering, what about all those hours I spend sitting? Could that also be affecting my prostate? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. Habit number 9, spending long periods of time sitting without moving. I remember well a patient named Frank, a former school principal, now retired, who told me he loved his quiet days. He spent hours watching TV, reading the newspaper, solving crossword puzzles. "Doctor, I've worked hard all my life. I deserve this break." And he was right. But there was one detail he, and many men, didn't know. Sitting for long periods of time can, in fact, harm prostate health. See, when we spend many hours without standing up, especially as we age, the pelvic region is under constant pressure. It's not intense pressure, but it's continuous, and this pressure prevents blood from circulating freely through the prostate. And without adequate blood flow, guess what? Inflammation begins to set in. The body can no longer deliver the right nutrients or remove impurities efficiently. The area becomes swollen and irritated, and symptoms appear: a constant urge to urinate, a weaker flow, discomfort when sitting. And worst of all, this doesn't happen overnight. It builds up slowly, like a rising tide without warning. Another trip to the bathroom here, a bad night's sleep there, a feeling that something isn't right. And so the cycle begins. The truth is simple. Our bodies were made to move. Movement isn't just about staying in shape or losing weight. It's about circulation. It's about keeping our organs alive and functioning well. Especially after 60, movement becomes true medicine. And no, you don't need a gym or a complicated routine. Just follow one simple rule. Every 30 minutes, stand up. That's right. Get up, stretch, take a walk, look out the window. If you need to, set a discreet alarm on your phone. These small gestures, which seem almost insignificant, relieve pressure on your pelvis, improve blood flow, and send a clear message to your body. We're still moving. We're still alive. Frank took the advice to heart. He set an alarm on his phone and every half hour got up to move around a bit. Within just 2 weeks, he began to notice he was sleeping better. After a month, he told me he felt lighter, more energetic, and in control of his life. If you also spend hours sitting, whether watching sports, reading, or just relaxing, remember, a still body is an invitation to silent problems. A moving body is an invitation to healing. And speaking of hidden enemies in everyday life, there's another one that often goes unnoticed, but could be irritating your prostate much more than you realize: your morning coffee. Yes, that common cup of coffee may not be so innocent after all. Let's talk about habit number 8, excessive caffeine consumption. I'll be honest, this topic touches me personally. Who doesn't love the smell of fresh coffee first thing in the morning? That first hot sip feels like a gift for the soul. For many men I work with, especially retirees who are finally enjoying their peaceful mornings, this daily cup becomes almost a sacred ritual. But the truth I've discovered over decades of caring for men with prostate problems is that too much caffeine, whether in coffee, tea, or even soda, can do silent damage. Caffeine not only wakes up the brain but also stimulates the entire urinary system. It increases urine production and makes the bladder more active, leading to that constant urge to go to the bathroom. For a healthy young man, this may be just a passing annoyance. But for those over 60 with a slightly enlarged prostate, this extra stimulation can become a problem. You may find yourself running to the bathroom more often, especially late in the morning or afternoon, or feel like you never completely empty your bladder. That persistent feeling of pressure, the urge that won't go away, the annoying dribbling, all of this could be linked to the amount of caffeine you consume. One patient, Gary, told me he drank coffee in the morning, iced tea in the afternoon, and sometimes a soda at night. He'd never given it much thought. When I suggested he cut back and replace his drinks with herbal teas or decaf options after breakfast, he hesitated. "Doctor, I've been drinking that for years." I smiled and replied, "That's exactly why it might be time to change." In just 10 days, he noticed he wasn't waking up as much during the night, his urinary stream was stronger, and his confidence had returned. To his surprise, He didn't even miss caffeine as much as he thought. I'm not saying you need to cut out coffee completely. I wouldn't do that either. But moderation matters. Enjoy that cup in the morning and try to cut it out. Your prostate and your sleep will thank you. And since we're talking about what we put in our bodies, there's a food group that's even more harmful to the prostate and hormones than caffeine. And unfortunately, they're probably on your plate more often than you think. Let's move on to habit number 7. Regularly eating processed foods and very spicy foods. I had a patient named Bill, 68, who came to my office frustrated. Doctor, I've cut out soda and I'm trying to walk more, but I keep waking up at night to urinate. It's driving me crazy. I asked him what his daily diet was like. He stopped, laughed, and said, for breakfast, usually bacon and eggs. For lunch, a ham sandwich. And at night, I can't give up my spicy chili. That's when the conversation got serious. Because most men don't understand that food isn't just fuel. It's a message to the body. Everything you eat sends a message to your body. And unfortunately, highly processed foods, like bacon, sausages, frozen meals, and even those packaged snacks, send the wrong message, especially to your prostate. These foods are full of chemicals, bad fats, and artificial preservatives that silently but continuously inflame your body. When your prostate is already sensitive, these signs of inflammation only make matters worse. And it's not just processed foods that wreak havoc. Very spicy foods, like chili peppers, chili powder, and hot sauces, have a direct effect on your bladder and the nerves in your pelvic region. When these nerves become irritated, you may feel like your bladder is full even when it isn't. This makes you go to the bathroom more frequently, lose control, and feel more discomfort. But the real problem goes beyond that. These foods also mess with your hormones. Many processed foods contain trans fats and added sugar, which disrupt hormonal balance, increasing estrogen and reducing testosterone. This imbalance is a major driver of prostate enlargement. So, even if the connection seems indirect, what's on your plate could be worsening your symptoms day after day. When Bill, the 68-year-old patient, switched his eating habits to a more natural diet, with grilled chicken, leafy greens, avocado, berries, and a handful of nuts, he not only felt physically better, but he also told me something that stuck with him. Doctor, I feel like I'm back. I'm clearer, stronger, more in control. This is the power of eating to heal, not just to satisfy hunger. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to start paying attention. Cook more at home, add an anti-inflammatory food to your plate each day, and you'll see your body respond. Your prostate calms down, and you'll sleep better again. But even with an impeccable diet, there is a behavior that many men ignore. They think it's harmless, but it's like a silent earthquake for the prostate. Let's talk about habit number 6, holding your urine for too long. I'm surprised how much this is underestimated. I got stuck in traffic. I didn't want to miss the game. I waited until the next rest stop. I get it. Life is busy. But after more than 30 years of focusing on men's health, I can say with absolute certainty, holding in urine is one of the most common and least recognized causes of prostate problems. See what actually happens. Every time you hold back the urge to urinate, your bladder stretches a little further than it should, like a balloon you've overinflated, over and over again. This constant stretching creates pressure that goes straight down to your prostate. And the prostate, especially after 60, was not made to withstand this repeated pressure. Over time, this irritates delicate tissues, causes swelling, and can even cause minor injuries to the nerves and muscles that control urine. Therefore, those who hold their urine too long often end up with a weak stream, that annoying feeling that their bladder hasn't emptied completely and that they still need to go more often. It's the body giving a warning, a sign that something is not right. And what's worse, when you hold it too long, your bladder may not empty completely, leaving behind urine. This stagnant urine becomes a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, which can lead to infections. And these infections only increase prostate inflammation and further irritate the bladder. I remember a man named Tom, a retired firefighter, who told me something that stuck with me. For years, he'd trained himself to ignore the urge to go to the bathroom, especially on long emergency shifts. For him, it was a test of discipline. But now, at 67, he was waking up 5 times a night, uncomfortable and frustrated. When I explained to him what this habit was causing, he looked down and said sincerely, "I wish someone had told me this before." And since then, he's made a point of warning all men. When your body tells you to go to the bathroom, don't wait, don't hold back. The bladder and prostate work as a team. When one suffers, the other feels it too. Listening to your body isn't a sign of weakness. It's pure wisdom. Now, speaking of habits that cause silent damage, there's one even more harmful than holding in your urine. One that not only affects the prostate, but also harms the lungs and blood. And worst of all, even if you don't smoke, just being around smoke can put your health at risk. Let's talk about it. Habit number 5, smoking, or even exposing yourself to secondhand smoke. I'll never forget Walter, a 72-year-old man who came to my office proudly saying he quit smoking 10 years ago. He'd worked in construction all his life and looked me in the eye saying, "Doctor, I quit smoking, but my prostate is still giving me problems." When I asked him if he was exposed to other people's smoke, he hesitated, then admitted that on card nights with friends, the smoke was thick, as if it were 1975. What Walter didn't know is that the prostate is extremely sensitive to environmental toxins. Cigarette smoke, whether inhaled directly or passively, is one of the worst attacks. Each cigarette releases thousands of chemicals that constrict blood vessels, reduce oxygen in the body, and trigger chronic inflammation, including in the prostate. Over time, these chemicals hinder the prostate's ability to heal and regenerate. The vessels that nourish the gland begin to close, the tissues become hardened, and the immune system reacts by trying to contain this constant aggression, leaving the body in a constant state of low-grade inflammation. And for those over 60, the body's natural ability to detoxify itself is already slower, meaning that even occasional exposure to smoke can significantly slow prostate health. Most worryingly, prolonged exposure to smoking not only worsens benign prostatic hyperplasia, but can also increase the risk of developing more serious problems, such as cancer. I'm not saying this to scare you, but to open your eyes. It's never too late to change. If you smoke, listen to this with love. Quitting is difficult, but it's the greatest gift you can give your prostate, your heart, and your future. There are medications, support groups, and therapies that can help with this process. If you've already quit, congratulations. But be careful. Avoid secondhand smoke whenever possible. Walter took this advice to heart. He stopped attending card nights at his friends' houses and started entertaining his friends at home, in a smoke-free environment. Within a few weeks, his sleep improved, the urge to urinate at night diminished, and his energy returned. He told me it was as if someone had turned down the volume on his discomfort. But you know what might surprise you? One of the most dangerous habits isn't about what you breathe, but what you ignore, because many men take better care of their car than their own body, and that's exactly where we're going now. Habit number 4, skipping annual prostate exams. I recently met with a man named Henry, 66, always well-dressed, polite, but visibly uncomfortable. He'd been dealing with constant trips to the bathroom, a persistent low energy level, and a nagging pain in his lower abdomen for over a year. But this was his first time seeing a urologist. When I asked him what had taken him so long, he just shrugged and said, "I didn't want to know." Henry isn't alone. Many strong, intelligent, hardworking men end up putting off seeing a doctor until the symptoms become too difficult to ignore. I understand. Fear, pride, and even shame can be barriers. But I always make a simple comparison. You change the oil in your car regularly, even if it's not malfunctioning, to prevent it from breaking down. Why would your body deserve less care? The prostate is treacherous. When it begins to show signs that something is wrong, it usually does so silently, without pain or major warnings. Just small changes, a weaker urinary stream, an extra trip to the bathroom, a disturbed night's sleep. By the time the problem becomes evident, it's often already advanced. But if detected early, whether a benign enlargement or even early cancer, it can be controlled with simple lifestyle changes and minimally invasive treatments. That's why annual exams are so essential. A basic physical exam, a PSA test, and yes, sometimes a digital rectal exam. All of these can offer life-saving information. These tools aren't just for diagnosis, but also for preserving your health, giving you the chance to act before the problem becomes too big to ignore. I told Henry exactly that. We ran some simple tests and, fortunately, caught the problem early. With dietary adjustments, stress management, and mild medication, he was able to reverse the situation within a few months. But he said something that stuck with me. "I wish I hadn't waited so long. I could have avoided a year of worry." So, I leave you with a question. When was the last time you had a prostate exam? Not because you felt something was wrong, but to take care of your health before any problems arise. If it's been more than a year, schedule that appointment. Your future self will thank you, but taking care of your prostate health goes beyond checkups. What you put on your plate daily has a huge impact. So, let's talk about a habit many of us have adopted since childhood, but which may be silently fueling prostate problems, meal after meal. Habit number 3, eating too much red and processed meat. I remember Joe, a 70-year-old former Navy SEAL and proud Texan who came to my office after months of interrupted sleep, a slow urinary stream, and growing discomfort in his lower abdomen. When we talked about his lifestyle, he laughed and said, "Doctor, I'm a steak guy. Always have been. Nothing compares to a good ribeye." I smiled, because I hear this a lot and understand it completely. There's something deeply satisfying about a meat-centric meal. It's part of the culture, the routine, even the reward after a long day. But what many don't know is that a diet heavy in red and processed meats, like bacon, sausage, cold cuts, and yes, those thick steaks, can fuel silent inflammation that worsens prostate problems. These meats are loaded with saturated fats, preservatives, and chemicals that, over time, promote chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body. When your prostate is already enlarged or sensitive, this inflammation acts like gasoline on a fire, contributing to bloating, hormonal imbalance, and increased urinary symptoms, especially in men who, as they age, experience slower metabolism and digestion. Additionally, studies show that frequent consumption of red and processed meats is linked to a higher risk of developing more serious prostate problems, including cancer. I'm not here to scare anyone, but to show that all of this can be avoided. The food you put on your plate every day is one of your most powerful weapons. It can both fight inflammation and fuel it. When I suggested to Joe that he cut back on red meat to once or twice a week and try lighter proteins like chicken, fish, beans, and lentils, he wasn't exactly thrilled. But a few weeks later, he came back with a different smile. "Doctor, I didn't realize how heavy I felt until I stopped. My stomach is calmer, I sleep better, and I don't miss meat as much as I thought I would." You don't have to cut everything or go radical. The key is finding balance. Prioritize whole, natural foods that come from the earth, not the factory. Your prostate will thank you before you even know it. But while nutrition is a huge piece of this puzzle, there's another force working against you, and it's not in the kitchen. It's right there, below the waist. And believe me, what happens around your waist may be causing more damage than you realize. Let's talk about it. Habit number 2, belly fat and obesity. I met a patient named Leonard, 64 years old. He spoke calmly, always in a good mood, even when his symptoms were bothersome. He sat down and said, "Doctor, I know I've gained a little belly, but is it really that bad?" I looked him in the eye and calmly replied, "More than you know, Leonard, especially for the prostate. That belly fat isn't just extra weight. It's constantly active tissue, sending hormonal and inflammatory signals throughout your body. This type of fat, especially around your waist, isn't sitting still. It's working against you. It converts your precious testosterone into estrogen, and this can cause the prostate to grow. As estrogen rises and testosterone falls, you start experiencing more frequent trips to the bathroom, a weaker stream, and that annoying feeling of pressure that won't go away. And it doesn't stop there. Abdominal fat also releases substances that inflame the body, put pressure on your cardiovascular system, and make it difficult to regulate blood sugar and blood flow, two vital factors for your energy and sexual health. So, even if it seems like just an aesthetic issue, the belly is signaling something much bigger. The good news? You don't need to lose 15 or 20 kilos to feel a difference. Studies show that even a modest 5% weight loss can significantly improve prostate symptoms. And the best part, it doesn't have to be a radical change. For Leonard, all it took was a few small adjustments: a brisk walk in the morning, swapping soda for water, and adding more vegetables to dinner. Within a few weeks, he was waking up less often at night and feeling more energetic during the day. "It's not just the prostate, doctor," he told me. "I feel like I've gotten a part of myself back." The truth is, your waistline tells a story, and when you start adjusting it, you're doing much more than losing inches. You're restoring balance where it really matters. But there's one last habit we need to talk about. It's not about what you eat, drink, or do. It's something you carry with you, day after day. For many, it's the invisible force behind it all, the silent saboteur of health. It's time to give him a name. Habit number 1, chronic, uncontrolled stress. Of everything we've discussed so far, Diet, routines, habits. This is undoubtedly the one most men ignore. And yet, it may be the most powerful force affecting your prostate health. I've seen many well-dressed, polite men who appeared calm on the outside, but inside carried decades of accumulated tension. One of them, Richard, told me at a consultation, "Doctor, I'm not the type to talk about stress. I just move forward." I understand this story well. Many men, especially after 60, were raised to be strong, the rock of the family, to endure everything in silence. But what medicine and psychology know today is that chronic stress doesn't just stay in the mind. It inhabits the body, and the prostate senses it. When the body is under constant stress, it produces high levels of cortisol, the infamous stress hormone. The problem is that cortisol fuels inflammation, tightens the pelvic floor muscles, disrupts hormone production, and even disrupts sleep. Over time, this leads to a drop in testosterone levels and increased sensitivity to pain and pressure in the pelvic region. It's a perfect storm for prostate problems to develop and persist. You may not even realize that you're constantly tightening your abs or spending nights tossing and turning, unable to relax. Your patience grows thin, your energy levels drop, and your motivation flags, all clear signs that stress is eating away at you from the inside. In Richard's case, he finally opened up about the pressures he felt, family, finances, and finding purpose after retirement. That's when we started working, not with medication, but with intention. 10 minutes of deep breathing a day, a walk at sunrise, journaling once a week, keeping in touch with friends, and perhaps most importantly, allowing yourself to rest without guilt. Within a few weeks, his symptoms began to subside. He began sleeping better. The urge to urinate decreased, and he told me, "I didn't even realize how much I was holding in until I started letting go." Managing stress isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategy. It's taking control of your health, and it can be the foundation that makes all other changes easier. Now that we've explored the 10 habits, some obvious, some nearly invisible, that silently inflame the prostate and increase discomfort, don't let yourself feel overwhelmed. Because in the end, I want to share something simple, a nighttime ritual that takes only 15 seconds, but that has transformed the lives of many of my patients. Let's close together. Here's the truth. You're not spoiled. You're just misinformed. Over the years, I've sat with hundreds of men like you, frustrated, tired, silently worrying about what's happening to their bodies. Some feel ashamed, some even angry, but most feel alone. After hearing so many stories, I can guarantee one thing for sure. You're not broken, you're not weak. You're just acting without seeing the whole picture. And now that you have this image, everything can change. We reviewed the 10 most common habits that slowly inflame the prostate: drinking little water, sitting for hours, overdoing caffeine, overindulging in processed foods, holding in urine, exposure to smoke, skipping routine checkups, eating too much red meat, carrying abdominal fat, and chronic stress. Alone, they may seem small, but added together, day after day, they create the perfect environment for your prostate to swell, your sleep to worsen, and your life to slip away. But here's the point I want you to hear louder than anything I've said so far. You have the power to change the course of your health. And you know what's best? You don't need major revolutions or radical changes. What really matters is awareness, the small, intentional steps you take, day after day, consistently. It's listening to your body, instead of trying to silence it. It's caring for yourself with the same urgency and care you would give to someone you truly love. Most men wait until they hit a wall, until they wake up 5 times a night, until their intimacy disappears, until they need multiple medications. But what if you didn't have to wait so long? What if starting tonight, you gave your body the tools it's silently asking for? One of the most powerful tools I teach my patients is what I call the 15-second bedtime ritual. It's simple, safe, and based on exactly the principles we've discussed today: reducing blood pressure, calming the nervous system, and supporting the bladder and prostate while you rest. Men who have incorporated this ritual report waking up less during the night, sleeping more soundly, and finally feeling like they have regained control over their bodies. And the best part? Anyone can start this practice today, hassle-free. So here's what I want you to do. Think back to the habits we discussed. Pick one that feels achievable for you and start there. Don't chase perfection. Chase progress. You're not too old, and it's never too late. Your prostate is listening to you. And now, you have a voice that knows exactly what to say. If you've made it this far, It means you're ready, and I want to walk this journey with you. If this video helped, even a little, please take a moment to like it. It shows me that content really does make a difference. Share with a friend, a brother, someone you know who is struggling in silence. And I'd love to hear from you too. Leave a comment below and tell me which habit resonated most with you. Your voice matters. If you'd like to support the channel and help bring this information to more men over 60 who need life-changing guidance, please consider making a small donation. Every contribution helps create more content made just for you. Thank you so much for being here with me.